Dr. Maya Khan was tired. The day had been long, filled with back-to-back patients at the city hospital. She had just removed her white coat and was about to sit down for dinner when her phone rang. The screen showed emergency dispatch. Her heart sank a little, but she answered quickly. A nurse's voice came through, calm but urgent. There's a home call. A little girl has a high fever and is alone with a guardian. The parents can't be reached. We need someone to check on her immediately. You're the closest. Maya looked at the clock. It was almost 8:30 p.m. Her shoulders felt heavy, but she nodded to herself. Helping a sick child was always more important. She grabbed her small black medical bag, slipped on her jacket, and left her apartment. Rain was falling outside, cold and steady. The streets were quiet, the sound of water tapping against her. Car windows followed her all the way. The address was unfamiliar. It was in a quiet neighborhood near the edge of the city. The houses were older, close together, and lined with tall trees. She parked in front of a small white house with a broken porch light. The windows were dark except for a soft glow from one upstairs room. Maya stepped out, held her bag close, and climbed the porch steps. She knocked gently, expecting to be greeted by a nervous babysitter or a worried grandparent. But no one answered. She knocked again, louder this time. After a pause, the door slowly opened. Maya froze. Standing there, holding the door with a blank expression, was her husband, Daniel. She stared at him, unsure if she was dreaming. Her heartbeat grew faster. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Daniel looked just as shocked, his eyes wide, lips tight. He stepped aside slowly, making room for her to enter. Without a word, she stepped inside. The hallway smelled of damp wood and medicine. A soft cough came from the living room. Maya turned and saw a small girl curled up on the couch under a thick blanket. Her cheeks were flushed, her eyes half open. A wet cloth sat on her forehead. Maya turned back to Daniel. "What is this?" she asked, her voice low. Daniel didn't answer at first. He ran a hand through his hair and looked away. She's sick. I didn't know who else to call," he said. "You didn't call," Maya replied, her voice firmer. "The hospital did." Daniel looked confused. "I called the emergency number. I didn't ask for you." Maya felt her hands begin to shake. She walked over to the child and knelt down. The girl's breathing was fast, her skin hot. Maya placed the back of her hand on the child's forehead. The fever was high. She opened her bag and pulled out a thermometer and stethoscope. Her mind was racing, but her hands were steady. Years of experience helped her focus. "What's her name?" she asked quietly. "Layla," Daniel said after a long pause. Maya glanced up at him, then back at the child. "How do you know her?" There was silence. Only the sound of the rain outside filled the room. "I'll tell you after," Daniel said. "Please, just help her first." Maya nodded slowly. She gave the girl some medicine and placed a cool cloth on her forehead. Then she took out her phone to check the nearest pediatric unit. But the roads were flooded. No ambulance would come soon. "She'll need rest, fluids, and close watching," she said. "Her fever should drop in a few hours if the medicine works." Daniel stood across the room, his hands clenched, eyes full of fear. "She doesn't Have anyone else? He said. Maya's eyes narrowed. Then you better explain why you're the one taking care of her, and why you never told me. Daniel walked to the window. The rain tapped softly against the glass. He didn't turn around. I found her last week, he said finally. Her mother, she died. It's complicated. I didn't know how to tell you. Maya felt like the ground under her had shifted. Her husband, her partner, had a secret, and it had a face, a name. A sick little girl wrapped in a blanket, coughing softly in a stranger's home. She looked at Layla again. The girl's eyes had opened slightly. She whispered something, too soft to understand. Her small hand reached out and grabbed Maya's fingers. The touch was warm and fragile. For a moment, Maya forgot her anger. For a moment, she was just a doctor, holding the hand of a sick child. But the questions were already growing like a storm inside her, and she knew this night had only just begun. Maya sat beside the couch where the little girl lay. The rain outside grew heavier, hitting the windows like quiet drums. The girl, Layla, was sleeping now. Her breathing had slowed, but the heat in her small body hadn't gone down completely. Maya checked her pulse again. It was better, but not yet normal. Daniel stood across the room, still silent. His shoulders were tense. His hands were buried in the pockets of his jeans. The house felt cold, though the heater was running. A long minute passed before Maya spoke. "She's not just a stranger to you," she said without looking at him. "You didn't just find her." Daniel took a deep breath. "No, I didn't." Maya turned to him slowly. Her voice was calm, but her heart was racing. "Then tell me, who is she?" Daniel finally walked closer. He sat down on the edge of a nearby chair, his eyes fixed on the sleeping child. "She's my daughter," he said quietly. The words landed like thunder in Maya's ears, he continued. "It happened years ago, before you and I met. It was one mistake. I didn't even know about her until last week." Maya's hands tightened on her medical bag. "Her mother never told you?" Daniel shook his head. "No, she raised Layla alone. We lost touch. I had no idea she existed until her mother passed away suddenly. A friend contacted me, said the girl had no one." He looked at Maya, his eyes full of shame. "I couldn't just leave her." Maya stared at the child again. The little hand still held onto her fingers, even in sleep. She didn't know what to feel. Part of her was angry. Part of her wanted to run. But a deeper part of her felt something else. A quiet pull toward this fragile girl who had lost her world. "Why didn't you tell me when you found her?" Maya asked, her voice low. "I was afraid," Daniel admitted. "Afraid of how you'd react. Afraid of losing you. I thought I could figure it out first. Maybe keep her somewhere safe until I could explain. But she got sick. Fast. I panicked." Maya nodded slowly. She understood panic. She lived with it every day in her work. But secrets, especially this kind, cut deeper than panic. "She's very sick," Maya said. "You should have brought her to a hospital." "I was scared they'd take her away," Daniel said. "She's all alone now. No records. No official guardian papers yet. I didn't want to lose her before I even knew her." They sat in silence for a while. The girl coughed in her sleep, and Maya reached over to adjust the blanket. "How old is she?" she asked softly. "5," Daniel replied. "Almost 6." Maya felt her breath catch. 5 years ago, Daniel was with her. They were already dating. Their wedding came 2 years later. "You said this happened before we met," she said carefully. "Are you sure?" Daniel looked up at her quickly. "Yes. Maya, I swear, I never cheated on you. It was just a mistake from a long time ago." She studied his face. His eyes were tired, honest maybe. But something inside her still didn't feel steady. "You should get some water," Maya said at last. "You look pale." Daniel nodded and left the room. Maya sat there watching the child. The fever was still there, but not rising. She would need rest, fluids, and food. More than that, she needed someone who cared. Layla stirred. Her eyes opened slightly. They were soft brown, just like Daniel's. "Are you a doctor?" she whispered. Maya smiled gently. "Yes, I'm here to help you." "Where's my mommy?" the girl asked. Maya paused. Her heart ached. She brushed a strand of hair from the girl's forehead. "She's not here right now, but you're safe. I promise." Layla nodded and closed her eyes again. Daniel returned with 2 glasses of water. He handed one to Maya. She took it, her hand still cold. "I'll sleep on the floor," he said. "You can have the guest room. I wasn't expecting anyone." "I'm not staying," Maya said quietly. "But I'll stay until morning. She shouldn't be alone tonight." Daniel nodded without arguing. He knew she was hurt. He knew trust had broken. But tonight wasn't about them. It was about the girl who lay between them, fragile and forgotten. Maya watched the child as she drifted into a deeper sleep. She had come to this house as a doctor, but now she wasn't sure who she was anymore. Wife? Stranger? Healer? Maybe something else. The rain kept falling, and the night had only just begun. The night passed slowly. Maya stayed beside the couch, checking Layla's temperature every hour. The child slept deeply, her little hands curled around the blanket. Her fever had dropped, but her body was still weak. Maya made sure the girl stayed warm and drank a little water when she stirred. Daniel moved quietly around the house. He brought extra blankets and a pillow for Maya, though she didn't ask. He didn't try to talk again. Every time he looked at Maya, he seemed unsure. She could feel the weight of his silence, heavy and full of regret. At 4 a.m., the rain finally stopped. The sky outside was still dark, but the wind had softened. The world seemed quieter, as if waiting for something. Maya stood up and stretched her back. She had not slept, but her body was used to long nights. Years of working in emergency rooms had taught her how to stay alert through the dark hours. Still, tonight felt different. It wasn't just a sick child. It was something deeper, something she couldn't explain. She walked into the kitchen and poured herself a glass of water. The light above the sink flickered. She noticed dishes in the sink, an empty cereal box on the counter, and a half-open cupboard filled with children's medicine. Signs of a man trying to manage things alone. Daniel stepped into the kitchen behind her. His face looked tired, his eyes red. "She's getting better," Maya said softly, not turning around. Daniel nodded. Thanks to you. Maya placed the glass down and finally looked at him. She needs care, not just tonight. You can't keep her in a house like this, alone. I know, Daniel said. I've been trying. I don't know what I'm doing, Maya. I never expected this. One day I was working like normal, and the next, there was a child who needed me. She's not just a child, Maya said. She's your child. Daniel lowered his head. Yes, and I missed 5 years of her life. Maya leaned against the counter. She wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. But all she could do was breathe slowly and keep her voice steady. What are your plans? She asked. I want to take care of her, Daniel said. Legally, fully. I'm working on the papers, but it takes time. I didn't want to tell you until I knew everything was real. Maya looked down at her hands. And us? What did you think would happen to us? I hoped you'd understand. I know it's too much to ask. She walked past him, back to the living room. Layla had rolled to her side, still asleep. Maya sat beside her again. I understand that you're scared, she said after a pause. But keeping this from me, hiding her, was not the right way. I know, Daniel said from behind her. Maya took a deep breath. You've been lying. Even if it was because you were afraid, it still broke something between us. Daniel came closer and sat on the floor across from her. He didn't try to defend himself. I want to fix it, he said. Whatever it takes. She didn't reply. The sky outside was starting to brighten, soft orange and pink lines touching the clouds. Morning was coming. After a while, Layla woke up. She blinked and looked around, confused. Then she saw Maya and reached out again. Doctor lady, she whispered. Maya smiled gently. How do you feel? Better, the girl said. Thirsty. Maya helped her drink slowly. Daniel came over with a small towel and wiped her face. The girl smiled at him and leaned against his chest. Daddy, she said quietly. The word felt heavy in the room. Maya stood up and watched them. It was a moment she didn't expect to witness. A small child leaning on a father she had just begun to know. A father who had once been her own safe place. Now, Maya didn't know what to feel anymore. I need to go soon, she said. Daniel looked up. Will you come back? Maya paused. She needs a doctor. I'll return to check on her. But after that, I don't know. Daniel nodded. He didn't beg or try to hold her back. Maybe he understood that some wounds didn't heal in one night. Maya picked up her bag. As she reached the door, Layla's voice followed her. Will you come again? Maya turned around. The girl's eyes were wide, full of hope. She gave a small smile. Yes, I'll come check on you. Layla nodded and rested her head on her father's shoulder again. Maya stepped outside. The air was fresh after the rain. Birds had started singing. She walked to her car slowly. Her hands were cold, her heart uncertain. She had come to heal a sick child. But she left with a deeper wound, one that only time, truth, and love could heal. Maya didn't go home that morning. She drove straight to the hospital, changed into her scrubs, and started her shift. But something was different. Her hands moved as usual, her mind followed routine, but her heart felt far away. She kept thinking of Layla's face, the way her small hand had held onto hers, and Daniel's voice, soft, afraid, full of things he hadn't said before. She had treated many children in her life, but never had one touched her soul like this. The child was part of her husband's past, yet suddenly tangled in her future. That thought stayed with her all day. Later that evening, she sat in the hospital cafeteria, her dinner untouched. Her phone buzzed beside her. A message from Daniel. "She's asking for you. Just thought you should know." Maya stared at the words for a long time. Then she turned off her phone and sat in silence. The next day, she found herself outside the same small white house. She didn't even remember deciding to go. Her feet had simply brought her there. Daniel opened the door before she knocked. "She's better," he said quickly. "She's been eating, smiling a little, but she keeps asking when you're coming back." Maya stepped inside without answering. Layla was sitting on the couch, holding a soft brown teddy bear. She looked up and smiled when she saw Maya. "You came," the girl whispered. Maya nodded. "I told you I would." She checked Layla's forehead. No fever. Her eyes were brighter. Her cough was soft now, no longer sharp. "She's strong," Maya said quietly. "She is," Daniel agreed. "She's been through a lot." Maya sat down beside the girl. "Did your daddy tell you I'm a doctor?" Layla nodded proudly. "He said you're the best one." Maya gave a small smile. It didn't reach her eyes. "Can I show you something?" Layla asked. Maya nodded. The girl reached into a box beside the couch and pulled out a drawing. Crayons had filled the paper with a shaky image, 3 stick figures holding hands. One was labeled Daddy, one me, and the third Dr. Maya. Maya felt something twist inside her chest. "You drew this?" Layla smiled. "It's us." Maya tried to speak, but no words came. Daniel watched quietly from the kitchen. He didn't interrupt. Later, after Layla had gone to bed, Maya stood in the kitchen sipping a cup of tea. Daniel stood beside her, both of them silent. "She's attached to you," he said finally. "It happened fast," Maya nodded. "Children cling to comfort when they're scared." "I'm not just talking about that," he said. "She trusts you. I see it." Maya placed the cup down. "And what about us, Daniel? What do you see?" "There?" He took a deep breath. "I see a woman who gave everything to this marriage, and I see a man who broke her trust." Maya looked away. "I know sorry isn't enough," Daniel continued, "but I had no idea she existed. When I found out, I felt lost. Then I saw her face, and I couldn't walk away. I didn't want to hide her from you. I didn't know how to tell you without breaking everything." "You still broke it," Maya said softly. "You should have trusted me." "I know," he whispered. They stood in silence again. The kitchen light buzzed softly above them. "She needs someone steady," Maya said. "You're her father. But she needs more than love. She needs structure, safety, medical care, school, and most of all, honesty." Daniel nodded. "I want to give her all of that. I've already started the guardianship process. I'm working with a lawyer. It'll take time, but I'll do it right." Maya folded her arms. "And what about me, Daniel? What am I supposed to be in all of this?" He looked at her, eyes full of quiet hope. "Whatever you choose to be, I won't pressure you. But Layla, she looks at you like you're already part of her world. Maya felt a sting in her eyes. She turned toward the living room. Layla's drawing was still on the table. 3 figures. One of them was her. She hadn't asked to be in that picture, but now it wouldn't leave her mind. I'm not promising anything, she said after a long pause. But I'll keep checking on her, as her doctor. Daniel gave a small nod. Thank you. Maya walked to the door and grabbed her bag. As she stepped outside, Daniel called after her. Maya. She turned slightly. I never stopped loving you, he said, even in the middle of all this. She didn't answer. She simply walked to her car, her heart full of noise. But in the back of her mind, that child's drawing remained clear. And deep down, a part of her wasn't ready to walk away completely. Not yet. The next few days passed slowly for Maya. She worked her usual shifts, met patients, gave instructions, and wrote reports. To her colleagues, she seemed calm and focused, but inside she felt like a rope pulled in 2 directions. Every night, she thought about Layla. She remembered the drawing, the soft voice, the little hand holding hers. But along with those sweet moments came heavier thoughts, secrets, broken trust, and everything Daniel had hidden. One evening, after finishing her rounds, Maya sat in the hospital parking lot with the car engine off. She stared at the steering wheel, unsure of what to do next. She could go home, lock the door, and try to forget everything. Or she could drive back to that small house where a child waited, and where a man she once trusted was trying to fix what he had broken. She chose the second road. When she reached the house, she didn't knock. Daniel saw her through the window and opened the door before she reached it. She's doing better today, he said with a soft smile. She's been asking when you'd visit again. Maya stepped inside. The air felt warmer this time. A soft tune played from the TV. Layla sat on the floor, coloring another picture. Dr. Maya, she shouted, running toward her. Maya bent down and hugged the girl gently. Hi, sweetheart. Are you feeling strong today? Layla nodded. I ate all my lunch, and no more cough. That's great, Maya said, brushing the girl's hair away from her face. The 3 of them sat in the living room. Layla showed her new drawings. This time 4 stick figures. This one's my mommy, she said, pointing to a woman with yellow hair. I remember her smile. Maya's heart softened. She must have been kind. She was, Daniel said quietly, and she loved Layla very much. Layla nodded. But now I have Daddy, and maybe one day I'll have you too. The words hung in the air. Maya froze, her breath catching in her throat. Daniel looked down. Layla, sweetie, let's give Dr. Maya a little space, okay? She's had a long day. The girl looked confused but nodded and went back to her crayons. Maya stood up and walked into the kitchen. Daniel followed her. I didn't teach her to say that, he said quickly. She came up with it on her own. I know, Maya replied, her voice quiet. Children feel things. They say what's in their heart. Daniel leaned against the wall. I'm not asking you to become something you're not ready for. I'm only asking you to let her know she's not alone. Maya turned to face him. And what about me? Am I alone in this? No, he said without hesitation. You're not. I know I failed you, Maya, but I'm still here, and I want to make things right." "Words won't fix it," she said. "I know," Daniel whispered. "But actions can start the healing." Maya looked at the doorway. She could see Layla, still coloring quietly. There was a gentleness in her, something rare and fragile. And, for the first time in days, Maya let herself wonder, what if this child didn't come to destroy their life, but to rebuild something new? Later, as Maya helped clean up the living room, Layla stood beside her and held up another drawing. "This one's special," the girl said proudly. It was a picture of a small house with a garden. 3 figures stood in front of it. One tall man, one woman with long black hair, and a smiling girl in the middle. Above them, in big letters, the word home was written. Maya held the drawing carefully. "Is this our house?" Layla nodded. "It can be." Maya didn't speak. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. Daniel came over. "She doesn't know about pain or betrayal. She only knows what love feels like." Maya turned to him. "And what if I can't love her the way she needs?" Daniel shook his head. "You already do. Maybe you just haven't realized it yet." Maya sat on the couch, the drawing still in her hands. Layla leaned against her, head resting on her arm. The house was quiet, filled only with the soft sound of crayons sliding across paper. For the first time, Maya didn't feel like a visitor. She felt like part of something. Not perfect, not planned, but something real. As the sun began to set, coloring the room with soft gold, Maya made a quiet promise to herself. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring. She didn't know if forgiveness would come easily. But she knew this. She couldn't walk away from this child. Not now. Not ever. Maya returned to the house more often after that evening. At first, she told herself it was only to check on Layla's health, but deep inside, she knew it was more than that. The girl had slowly opened a door in her heart that she didn't know was still there. Each visit felt easier. Layla always greeted her with open arms, a bright smile, and a new drawing to share. Sometimes it was a picture of the 3 of them, in a park. Other times it was a little home with a garden, full of flowers and laughter. Daniel gave them space. He didn't push. He cooked simple meals, washed dishes quietly, and often stayed in the background. But Maya noticed the small things. The way he looked at Layla with care. The way he looked at her with hope. One Friday evening, Maya arrived just before dinner. Layla was already sitting at the table, legs swinging under her chair. A small plate of rice and vegetables sat in front of her. Daniel placed another plate for Maya without asking. "You don't have to do that," she said gently. "I know," he replied. "But it's nice to sit down together." They ate in silence for a few minutes. Layla was the only one who spoke, telling stories about a cartoon she had seen and a squirrel she spotted outside the window. After dinner, Maya helped wash the dishes. Daniel dried them, standing beside her. Their hands moved in rhythm, but neither said much. When the last plate was done, Maya turned to him. "What's next for her? What will happen after the guardianship is approved?" Daniel wiped his hands on a towel. "She'll be with me. Full time. I've already started looking at schools nearby. I want her to have a normal life." And what about support? Maya asked. You can't do this alone. Daniel leaned against the counter. I know. I've started reaching out to social workers and child counselors. I'm learning as I go. Maya looked down. And me? Am I part of that picture? He didn't answer right away. Then, in a soft voice, he said, Only if you want to be. I won't ask you to carry something you're not ready for. But you should know. She already sees you as part of her world. Maya thought of the drawings, the way Layla's stick figures always stood close together, always smiling. She's not the one I'm afraid of, Maya admitted. I know, Daniel said. They stood in quiet understanding. There were no promises, no pressure, just the space between them, filled with memories, pain, and something new that was slowly growing. That night, as Maya prepared to leave, Layla came running with a folded piece of paper. I made this today, she said proudly. Maya opened it. It was another drawing, this time a heart drawn in red crayon. Inside the heart were 3 names: Layla, Daddy, and Maya. Tears filled Maya's eyes. Do you like it? Layla asked. I love it, Maya said. The girl hugged her tightly. Can you keep it forever? Maya held the paper close. Yes, I can. Daniel watched from the doorway. His eyes were soft, but he didn't say a word. Maya left the house feeling something new. Not joy, not sadness. Something in between. It was like standing at a fork in the road, unsure which path to take, but knowing that either way, things would never be the same again. The next morning, she sat at her kitchen table, the drawing still in her hand. She placed it on the fridge, beside an old photo of her and Daniel on their wedding day. The 2 images didn't match, but somehow they both belonged there. Later that day, she received a message from Daniel. Layla wants to visit the park this afternoon. She asked if you'd come with us. Maya stared at the message. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she typed back, I'd like that. When she arrived at the park, Layla ran to her and grabbed her hand. They walked together, Layla in the middle swinging their arms. Daniel walked beside them, quiet but present. The sun was bright. Children laughed in the distance. Birds sang from the trees. It was a normal afternoon, but to Maya, it felt like the start of something fragile and new. She wasn't ready to call it a family. Not yet. But for the first time, she wasn't looking at the past. She was starting to see a future. The park visit became a regular thing. Every weekend, Maya joined Daniel and Layla. They brought snacks, played simple games, and sat on the grass watching the clouds. There were no big conversations, no heavy talks, just peaceful moments shared. Under the sky. Layla loved feeding the ducks. She would laugh every time one of them waddled too close. Maya often sat beside her, handing her small pieces of bread while Daniel watched with a soft smile. These moments brought a kind of calm that Maya hadn't felt in a long time. One afternoon, Layla brought her small pink backpack. Inside was a small photo album with pictures of her late mother. She was pretty, Maya said gently, flipping through the pages. She used to sing to me, Layla whispered. I don't remember the songs, but I remember her voice. Daniel sat close, listening. She would have loved to see how strong you've become. Layla looked up. Do you think she'd be happy I have a doctor friend now? Maya smiled and nodded. I think she'd be proud. Layla gave a small nod and leaned into Maya's side. The sun warmed their faces, and for a moment, everything felt still. Later that week, Maya received a call from the lawyer handling Layla's guardianship case. Daniel had listed Maya as an emergency contact. She hadn't expected that, and for a moment she didn't know how to respond. She means a lot to him, the lawyer said. And clearly, she means a lot to you too. Maya hung up the phone with a heavy heart. She looked around her apartment. It felt different now, quieter, emptier. She had always thought she was content living alone, but now she wasn't sure. That evening, she visited the house again. Layla ran to her with a new drawing. This one showed a tall tree, a swing, and 3 smiling faces underneath it. This is our park, Layla said excitedly. And you're in it again. Maya hung the drawing on the wall beside the kitchen. Daniel noticed but didn't say anything. Later, as they sipped tea on the porch, Maya finally spoke. I got a call from your lawyer. Daniel looked up, surprised. I listed you in case of an emergency. I should have asked first. No, Maya said quickly. It's okay. I just didn't expect it. I didn't do it to pressure you, he said. I only did it because I trust you. They sat in silence for a while. I've been thinking, Maya said, about what this all means, about how everything has changed. Daniel listened closely. I can't go back to how things were, she continued. But I also can't pretend this doesn't matter to me. He nodded slowly. I understand. I'm not ready to start over with us, she said. But I want to be there for her, not just as a doctor. I want to be someone she can count on. Daniel's voice was low. That means more to me than I can say. The next morning, Maya helped take Layla to her first day at a new school. The little girl held both their hands as they walked through the gate. She looked nervous but excited. Her backpack was too big, and her steps were small, but she held her head high. I'll be brave, Layla said. Like you told me. Maya knelt down beside her. And if you ever feel scared, just remember you're not alone. Layla hugged her tight before running inside. As they watched her walk into the building, Daniel spoke quietly. She's lucky to have you. Maya glanced at him. She has you too. Daniel nodded, his eyes following Layla through the glass doors. We'll do this right. Together or not, she deserves the best of both of us. Maya agreed. In the weeks that followed, they continued to build something, slow, steady, and without labels. Maya still lived in her apartment, but she visited often. She helped with homework, went to school meetings, and spent quiet evenings reading bedtime stories. One night, Layla fell asleep with her head in Maya's lap. Daniel brought a blanket and covered them both. Maya looked down at the sleeping girl, her chest full of quiet emotion. Daniel sat nearby. She feels safe with you. Maya didn't speak. She didn't need to. Sometimes love didn't need big words or grand promises. Sometimes it came in small steps, shared stories, and soft touches. They weren't the same couple they once were. Too much had changed. But they were something else now, connected by a little girl with wide eyes and a strong heart. Maya didn't know what the future would hold, but she knew one thing for sure. This wasn't the end of a story. It was the beginning of a new one, and she was ready to live it.